Here is the English translation of the provided text. Our friends in blue uniforms appeared in my garage, in the form of 2 police officers in a patrol car. I secretly observed them from where I was hiding under the lift. It was unusual to see such cheerful police officers. As they approached me, their expressions became more serious. They confirmed my identity and told me they had bad news. Something had happened at my home, and my wife was in the hospital. But they couldn't elaborate. I tried to leave immediately, but they stopped me, wanting some answers. Can you explain where you were for the past 3 hours, sir? Yes, officer, I've been here all day. Just ask my 2 mechanics. Sorry, I actually snuck out for about 10 minutes around 11 in the morning to buy coffee. One of the police officers came over to chat with Mike and Pete. The other noted down which coffee shop I was at. Can I see your car, sir? He asked. Of course, my truck is outside. I took him out to see my pride and joy. The complete jerk searched the interior, then opened the hood and touched the engine. Cold as a stone. That's it, sir, you can go to the hospital now. With a worried expression on my face. As the hospital staff explained how severe Kate's injuries were. The fact that she had a blood transfusion. And then told me she was in surgery now. I felt the doctor was half smiling and not smiling throughout the conversation. Very unprofessional. Leaving the hospital, I was stopped by the 2 police officers who were previously in the garage. They wanted more answers. We went to the hospital cafeteria. Had some much-needed coffee. They wanted to know how my relationship with my wife was. I explained that we met and married relatively late, about 8 years ago. Kate successfully worked as a lawyer for a large local company. She basically wanted children, but resisted my pressure until she was almost 40. Because she wanted to establish herself at work. They asked me why she was at home on a workday. I explained that Kate resigned a month ago to rest before getting pregnant. A kind of vacation. Before at least 10 years of family service. Then I added that I love my wife. We are doing well. Looking forward to having a child. They asked me if I knew someone named John Barton. When I answered that I didn't know and asked why they were asking, they evaded the question and walked away. I knew I could rely on my guys to lock up the garage. So I went straight home. 2 forensic scientists and a detective were searching the house. The detective introduced himself and explained what he knew. Then he asked me the same questions as the previous officers. Plus a new question. Can you explain why? We found a few drops of blood in the downstairs bathroom, sir. I'm sorry, I have no idea, detective. Can I ask you something now? It's clear. You're not treating this as an accident. And I'm being treated as a suspect. Can you assure me that you're not just focusing on me, but also looking for the real culprit? You can rest assured, sir. We have several leads in the investigation. My colleagues are now talking to Mrs. Barton. Who is this John Barton I keep hearing about? I'm sorry, sir, I don't think it's appropriate for me to comment. He walked away with sighs, leaving me confused. I went upstairs to the master bedroom and looked. CSI people then walked away, leaving me confused. I went upstairs to the master bedroom and looked at the scene unfolding. If I saw it for the first time, I would be shocked. Around 10 in the morning at work, I started thinking about sex. It's nothing unusual. They say men think about sex 67 times an hour when they're awake. Let me tell you, those men who haven't had a wife for almost a month can at least double it. Since Kate left work, our 2 to 3 times a week sex life has almost dropped to 0. Kate is either in a bad mood, bored and depressed, or too tired. I personally think it's because her normal life is almost over. She's just scared. As a considerate husband, I don't want to put pressure on her. She will come out of fear at her own pace. I know my life will change after having a child. But I understand her life will be completely overturned. I've always been fantasizing about what our early married life was like. Any place, any time, under any circumstances. We strive to keep it fresh and novel. As long as our imagination continues to exist. Then slowly fell into the automatic mode that long-term partners often fall into. I came back from my trance. I know what to do. Restore spontaneity. Go home now. And have sex with Kate until you lose consciousness. Okay, the decision has been made. It's time to go home. I told Mick and Pete. I'm going to leave for a while. Pete asked if I could drive that car. He just finished the service test. When I got home, I was disappointed to see an unfamiliar car on the driveway. Damn, my friend's visit ruined my plan. I still decided to go in. Maybe my friend can be persuaded to leave. My plan can be saved. Without any suspicion or trying to hide. I opened the front door. My hair stood up immediately. I knew my marriage was over. The obvious sound of sexual activity. Almost roaring on the stairs. Almost an instinctive reaction. Took out the mobile phone and started recording the video. Whenever customers bring a car to the garage, I always quickly record a video. So we won't be blamed for scratching it. My heart was pounding. I ran upstairs and peeked through the bedroom door. Ready with the camera. Yes, it was Kate. Yes, it was some people I didn't know. Happily having her on our bed. Resisting the impulse and the urge to kill, I turned around. I can honestly say, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. My legs can no longer support me. I collapsed on the floor outside the door. Completely broken down. I was only vaguely aware that they were reaching their climax. Just around the corner. I don't know how long I stayed there. But gradually, I realized their adulterous sounds had all stopped. Only the conversation could be heard. This is equally bad, still tearing my heart. I know I have to leave the hearing range. Give myself time to think. I instinctively know. Any emotional response will at least let him into the hospital, me into prison. I need time to think. I quietly stood up from the floor. Crept downstairs and collapsed on the sofa. Far from the sight of betrayal. Smell and most of the sound. I got rid of emotional interference. I did what I was best at, came up with a plan. Get him out of the room, out of sight. Beat him hard. In places that won't leave too many bruises. The stomach should be just right. Then throw him out the back door naked. Come back and throw her out the door naked. This should give them the right impression. Give me complete freedom. No bruises and witnesses. I hope I can avoid trial. Fortunately, I have the perfect impact weapon in my workshop. 2 years ago, I served in the Army Reserve National Guard. The skills I learned there. In charge of cleaning the trucks. We brought back to the base. This is where I found the small device. Now it will come in handy. The police call them stun grenades. A little larger than ordinary grenades. They are basically a small can. With a lever pin ignition mechanism. They are specially made for hostile Gorus. Designed to cause almost no physical harm. So they can be thrown into a room full of innocent people. Without any major harm. However, the explosion is accompanied by a flash. Power reaches 8 million candles. And a 170 decibel impact sound. The flash alone can make people extremely dizzy. At least 5 seconds. My brain was driven by my newly acquired hatred. Quickly formed the rest of the plan. I don't want to damage my house. So I can't just throw a grenade on the ground. I took out the device. And quickly stuck a short rope on it. Then made a loop at the end of the rope. So prepared, I tilted it upstairs. As I approached, I realized there was no need for secrecy anymore. I clearly heard the man's groans coming from behind the bedroom door. Only stopped to pick up my mobile phone on the ground outside the door. I dropped it. I looked around the door frame. It is said that the second round of sexual activity is in full swing. My wife satisfied her lover by caressing his crotch below the waist. After rehearsing the order of what I was going to do in my mind, I decided to take action. Here is the English translation of the provided text. Take a deep breath, then act. 1 step into the room. Wrap the end of the rope around the hook at the bottom of the chandelier. Let the device hang halfway off the ground. Pull out the pin. Put it in your pocket, then step out the door again. Press your ears tightly. Close your eyes tightly. Even with my precautions, the effect was amazing. I clearly felt the shockwave in the bright reflection through my eyelids. As planned, I leaped into the room again, ready to act. This time it was my turn to be surprised. I didn't know what I was expecting to see, but it was completely different from the scene in front of me. Mr. Nobody was lying on his back on the bed. His lower body below the waist was obviously damaged. Either nature was extremely unfriendly to him, or something was missing. Kate was lying on her back on the floor, her eyes hollow. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. I went back to the hallway in confusion to think. My thoughts were quickly interrupted by 2 unholy screams from the bedroom, followed by various impacts and the sound of doors slamming. I began to realize that I was in deep trouble. My plan had failed. I peeked through the door frame again, watching the massacre. The guy rolled off the bed and curled up on the floor, holding his groans, screaming like a banshee. Kate was gone, but obviously she was in the bathroom. We need to clear the evidence. I went back to the room, looked around, quickly found the triggering mechanism of the device, added it to the rope. I couldn't find anything else, so I concluded that everything else had been destroyed. I walked carefully towards the bathroom. Kate was kneeling by the toilet, vomiting. I had no desire to help her. I just didn't care anymore. On the way to the door, I noticed something on the floor. I picked up a piece of meat. It was warm, soft, and looked like the tip of a tongue. On the way to the front door, I went into the downstairs bathroom and flushed it away. They won't be able to sew it back. Try not to scream, tires. I hurriedly walked down the street. Again. Glad we live so far from the neighbors' houses. On the way to the garage, I poured the things in my pocket into the roadside trash can. 10 minutes later, I was back in the small garage I call work. I called Pete and Mike. 2 dirty, oil-stained guys. I call them my employees and friends. Seeing me in a panic, they hurried towards me. Guys, I need you to be my alibi for the past 45 minutes. What do you say? Of course, boss, almost at the same time heard. Well, before you agree so quickly, I have to tell you I did something very serious. Once I explain what it is to you, you may not answer so quickly. I don't know what I will be prosecuted for, but that could mean imprisonment. Before explaining to them, I went into my office, then put on my dirty old work clothes. Then I went to the trash can, grabbed a piece of oily cloth, wiped it on my face and hands. I don't know when the police will come here, but I anticipated it. The guys looked at me in shock. I briefly told them about the recent events. Mike was the first to break the silence. He tried to stick to it for 15 seconds, then suddenly burst into laughter. This broke Pete's deadlock. He quickly joined Mike and I in uncontrollable laughter. It took us a full 5 minutes to regain control. Shaking hands and promising support, they went back to their greasy engine compartments. Spontaneous laughter came from various dark rooms in the next hour. My wife Kate was about to reap what she deserved. She has always kept a distance from my humble friends. That night I was cleaning the master bedroom. I just washed the bathroom floor. I decided to throw away the bedding and made a mental note to buy a new bedroom carpet. The torn curtains also had to be removed. I tried to stay busy to avoid thinking. This process was not helped by constant calls and knocks on the door. Yes, the media is in a frenzy of feeding mode. The combination of adultery and a person's lower body being bitten off. It's a story sent from heaven for him. I only opened the door once, then quickly turned off the phone. Finally, there was nothing to distract me. I started some self-reflection. I regret what I did. Strange, but not. I hate cheaters very much. I've seen too many men become women after catching their partners. Interestingly, even before lunch. I'm ready to bet my life. My wife and I share this passion. I was shocked by how wrong I was. Not to mention, I was completely taken aback by Kate's motives. She seems to be as loyal to me as I am to her. Our sex life is absolutely great. Well, until recently. After a few hours of inner struggle, I can only find one clue. I remember 2 months ago when Kate announced that she was going to retire. Enjoy her last few days of freedom. The hair on my back stood up. I expected her to work at least until the 7th month of pregnancy. What she said she wanted to cheer for the last time before having a child. I thought it was strange. My thoughts were interrupted by the ring of my personal mobile phone. Few people know this number. The caller ID showed Kate's parents' number. They live in the same state, but about 3 hours away. I always get along very well with them, so I answered the phone. After less than usual greetings, her mother started talking about the business. "Dave, what's going on? Do you know why? A group of reporters surrounded our house. Well, they will know one day. I just can't say the details. Mom, did you watch the local news tonight? Maybe the main news. About some cheaters biting off her lover's dignity." I've always liked her mother's colorful language. In her view of life. But damn, it didn't make our conversation easier. "Yes, Mom, look. There's no easy way to say this. So I'll just say it. The woman's name is Kate." Fortunately, my confusion was interrupted by a scream, followed by a beep. As I pressed the end call button on my phone, I noticed a warning on the screen. This reminded me. I wrote down the end of my marriage. Just 8 hours ago. I vaguely remember I put my phone record outside the bedroom door. I know if I never knew or believed why Kate did what she did, I will never trust any woman again. I'm likely to die alone, becoming a misogynist destined to live a useless life. With desperate hope, I started playing the video. I already know what it's showing. The pain is too fresh to relive that scene. Just when I put the phone on the floor, I opened my eyes. No visual representation. Only the view of the corridor ceiling. I have to imagine Mr. and Mrs. Adultery lying in bed side by side. I can't hear the sound clearly. So I downloaded the file to my computer and played it through an amplifier. This is an important part of their conversation. "Wow, Kate, it's great. Actually, it's been great all week. Does it really have to end today? My proposal is still valid. As long as you give me your commitment, I will divorce Sarah and marry you." Well, yes, it seems to be effective. A marriage that starts with a man leaving his wife and children. No, I love Dave too much to hurt him like that. Besides, he is a great husband. And will be a good father. I will be good wife. At least. Until our youngest child starts school. You can't love him that much. Not when he's lying next to you. No, you're wrong. I love him very much. I knew he was the only soulmate as soon as I saw him. I will never meet another one. We are very compatible in bed. I am very happy that I have such a good man to spoil me. and will take care of me when I have 2 or 3 of his children. No, I can't think of anything better than dying in his arms, surrounded by our grandchildren. Well, that's a good speech, but it raises an obvious question. Why are you with me now? At least Kate still has the humanity to think. Silence for half a minute. I guess I just missed the past. I didn't get married until I was 31. A bit of a wild girl. I miss walking into a bar and getting the attention of all kinds of men. Leading a man forward. Then impulsively decide whether he gets what he wants. Recently, Dave has been hunting with his friends every weekend. 3 weeks ago, I decided to revisit the past. Go to the bar and see. Here is the English translation of the provided text. This led to a night that was tolerable, but not satisfying. Then last Saturday, I happened to walk into the bar where you were. And then we. Oh my, you're so cold, Kate. Just take this as the last cheer. Anyway, what are you complaining about? Come on, I said it has to end today. I didn't say it has to end right now. I turned off the sound. At least now I know I'm a good lover and husband. The problem is not with me. The following days were filled with utter disappointment. 2 days later, the reporters dispersed, leaving my quiet street. The hospital administrator called me, saying Kate wanted some pajamas. I missed this. She'll have to endure these humiliating hospital gowns. 2 days later her father called me. He apologized for his daughter's behavior and expressed hope that I would continue to keep in touch with him. To add temptation, he reminded me that he has another daughter who recently got divorced. Sorry, Dad, that's too weird. For days after the incident, he was reported again in the news. Not so big Dick has been discharged from the hospital. The reporters dug up some things, revealing that he is a serial cheater. So they announced with some fun. Although the surgeon successfully stitched his male dignity back together, it very unlikely to achieve any of its expected functions. At the end of that week, I received an unexpected visitor, Mrs. Barton. Or she insisted that I call her Sarah. A beautiful lady with sad eyes. She told me that she heard the rumors. I might have some evidence that can help her divorce case. I explained, maybe it's true. But I can't admit it, otherwise it would expose myself. She understood everything and was very sorry to bring up the issue. I told her, I think there is so much circumstantial evidence. She doesn't need what I have. If this is proven wrong, I would persuade her to come back. Maybe change her mind. There was so much sadness in her, I felt sorry for her. I took out the video file. I played it for her. Only in the aftermath of the Big Bang. Her husband's screams made her flinch at first. But she quickly pulled herself together. So to speak. She was not very sad when she left. As a helpful person, I invited her to come and pick me up when sadness returns. Yes, that was not the last time I saw Sarah Barton. The last visitor I received was probably the strangest. On Saturday I opened the door to greet the detective. I talked to him in the house on the day of the big event. The suit was gone, leaving only jeans and a shirt. Hey son, no, I won't come in. I just wanted to say if the evidence is insufficient, I suggest closing the case. Hearing my gratitude, he turned and left. But stopped and looked back. Listen, I'm retiring at the end of the year. If I come back after this, will you tell me how you did it? I just smiled and wished him a good day. Kate's letter arrived the following Tuesday. My dear Dave, I can't express how ashamed and sorry I am for what I did to you. I fully understand why you can't come to see me. I forgive you unconditionally. I never thought about all the consequences of my actions. I certainly didn't think my parents would actually disown me. I know I've lost your love, trust and respect forever. This hurts me more than I can describe. I would understand if you never want to talk to me again. But if you could let me explain why I did this, it might help with your recovery. Please make sure this is all my fault. The doctor said I might be unable to speak normally for a long time. Or even forever. They think I swallowed the tip of my tongue when I bit it off. They told me some experimental stretching techniques can restore some function. I hope this works. I can at least return to my career as a distraction from the boring, loveless, childless future I'm facing. I will sign whatever you want in the divorce, if you can keep me on your health insurance in the near future. I will be forever grateful. Goodbye, my love. I wish you happiness in the future. I hope I haven't completely ruined your life. You are Kate, the wife who cheated on you. I must say, this letter touched me so much that I immediately changed my previous decision and sent her pajamas to the hospital. Now we are Mick and Pete's phone number. I owe them a beer. A barrel each. Thank you everyone who took the time to listen to today's story. If you like, please consider liking and subscribing. If you haven't, please feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.